Hi. Someone reminded me this week that some years ago at a talk, I had used the expression, um, the last rays of ancient sunlight, that we were experiencing the last rays of ancient sunlight. And I hadn't thought about that expression or others, but somehow since that came up, it's come up a few times this week. And so I thought I'd share a few minutes with you and talk about that a little bit because the weirdness in the world continues and doesn't seem to let up in one way or another. Some people feel it in a very oppressive way. Others feel it in an insecure way. And I don't think there's any way, any specific way that we respond to it. But we're all responding to it in some way, responding, reacting, withdrawing, whatever it is that we're doing at this time. So when I used that expression some years ago, I think it was during a time when there were different comets visible in the sky. It's been a while since I said that, so I can't quite recall exactly the circumstances. But it was also a time in which things just felt different. It felt like the ground underneath our feet was shifting, and that either we weren't shifting fast enough or shifting along with it, and that we needed to do something. And it was around that time that people were really talking about consciousness and waking up and different waves of people waking up at different times, first wave, second wave. Maybe this will sound familiar to you. And there were calculations made about how long it takes light to travel through space and to reach us. And that by the time it reaches us, whatever it was that we are viewing or experiencing actually took place so long ago that it was barely relevant to us. We couldn't really catch up to that. So that expression that we were really viewing or receiving ancient sunlight as opposed to today's light, today the sun shining on us as if it really were a brand new day. Today I'm hearing that expression again, and I'm hearing things like we're in the 11th minute of the 11th hour, and things like the clock is going to strike midnight soon, and a lot of talk about endings and abyss. And I'm not hearing as many things about new beginnings, which usually or could accompany this other kind of talk. So I thought it was a good time to really share or talk about where we are at. We're at where we are. We're at a particular point. We're at a particular location in history, if we want to look at it that way. Something that feels like a place, because as far as our life is concerned, this is where we are. This is where our body is located. But we're so much more than that. So it's important to look at or acknowledge that this is where we are, not who we are. Who we are is full and complete and vibrant and alive and curious and courageous and so many other things. Where we are is a point that looks a little bit confusing, a place that we don't remember being in quite the way that it looks today. And it's uncomfortable. It's not fun for most of us. And at the same time, we are discovering more things about ourselves, about our world, about what our priorities are, about the things that are important, about the kinds of changes or shifts that we can make when we need to. So it's a really interesting and important time as well. I'm also getting comments or questions about what to do before it's too late. And I wonder about that. What does that mean? What does it mean if we're too late? Too late for what? So this is where we are. We're not too late for ourselves. We're not too late to save the earth, because in spite of everything, the earth does not require our saving. The earth is a self-sufficient, sentient being, able to recreate itself, herself, in so many different ways, and has done exactly that in different ages and through different periods and different ecological understandings, and in different ways that the earth has been valued. We don't have a memory of that. So it seems to us that as our systems are brittle, coming apart a little bit, the systems that we created upon this earth and in this world, we are applying all of that to the earth as well. And it doesn't necessarily apply. The earth has had warm periods and cold periods, and periods in which there has been a humanity devoted to the earth, and a time where it hasn't been. Times where there have been completely different animals and plants than those that we recognize today, and times of scarcity and times of abundance. And the same is true of us. And so this is a time where we can look at things and say it's the end of everything, catastrophe, collapse, shifting agendas and all that. But maybe it's not. Maybe it's a time when things are very thin. The veils at this time of year, for instance, are thinner. People are very thin-skinned at this time right now. We let things in a lot. So maybe it's just a time to see that this is what it looks like right now, and that too is temporary. We don't know what the next segment's going to look like. We don't know what the next chapter of our life is going to look like. And we're making guesses. We're making judgments. We're jumping to conclusions. We are taking sides. We're not very neutral right now. We're seeing the world in some ways be carved up and divided, and we think that we need to stand on one side or another of a map or any kind of a divide, and we don't need to do that. We may never be called to do that, or if you're called to do that, you may not want to do that or need to. So this is a kind of a subjective time as well, and it can be a very personal time. It can be an integrative time. It can be an interpersonal time, a time of great exchange, great ideas, great creativity. And in order to receive that or see that, we have to sometimes take a little bit of a step back. And current life at its acceleration doesn't as much allow that step back. So we have to sometimes insist upon it, or claim it, or just take it, just look at things a little bit differently, with a little bit softer eyes, with a softer vision. So at this time of year, more concerns come up. Not because it's closer to the end of the year, maybe a little bit because it's a fall, change of seasons. October is typically a questionable month. And so in some ways, I want to say to look around for things that are not necessarily unexpected, but at the same time, things that are in your peripheral view, not just in front of you, not just in the past, which you've already experienced, but look peripherally. See what is around you, see what is near you, and be aware. You can be concerned if you want to be concerned. I know some people who are very worried beyond concern, but it's a time just to be aware, eyes open, as I say, but eyes open, heart open, and that's where we can be right now. I'm sorry I haven't been communicating or making videos for you as much as I had been for a little while here. I was busy with this class, Wisdom Rising, which is a great experience of 2 more weeks to go on that class, and that has kept me busier doing this live class. And hopefully when it's over, I'll be able to share some segments of that class with you as well. But in the meantime, missed you, wanted to communicate with you, and thought a few too many coincidences had come up this week and thought it would be a good time to say hi. So fall is upon us, beautiful time of year. As you watch the leaves fall, let anything else fall away. If it's not loving, if it's not letting or allowing, let it fall away. Let it fall with the leaves. And if you want to revisit again next year when it's springtime and the brightness of that light welcomes us, that would be another time. So we are not in ancient times, and we are not in future times. We're in the now moment. We're in the present. So let's bring the best of us forward to this moment, not to ancient light, but to the new and present sunlight. So remember, not where we are, it's who we are and what we are. Peace to you, and see you again soon. Bye-bye.